Today, we're going to talk about why it is difficult psychologically, um, neurologically, emotionally, spiritually for Black women to rest. And I don't mean in the sense of like not even having time, right? I mean, where you sit down to rest, or you'll take a vacation, or in my case, a sabbatical, a long extended time off of work, and why it's difficult for you to settle in to rest. Okay. And when I started this journey of learning how not to deplete myself and to give from my overflow and to move according to my overflow rather than my depletion, I had no idea that it would be difficult. It's like you fantasize this relaxation, you fantasize this rest, and then it's challenging for you to do it. But I'm going to explain to you why, according to neuroscience, actually, and spirituality and feminine energetics, why it's hard for you to soften, right, internally and rest as a Black woman. Now, to fully understand why hard work is encoded in our DNA and why it's difficult for Black women to rest, we'll have to start from the beginning, right? So we know that as enslaved Africans, Black women weren't allowed to rest. They were forced to work all day in fields and kitchens, raising other people's children, even when they were tired, sick, or had babies of their own. And then in the 1950s and 60s, there were these laws called Black Codes, okay? And this is when even if Black women had the financial resources to stay home with their children, white women complained, right, because they didn't have domestic help, right, at home. And so Black women had to work outside of the home, okay? Otherwise, they would be seen as lazy, they could be punished, hurt, or even sent to jail, okay? So Black women had to keep going, always proving that they were good, strong, and useful. Now, I want you to imagine living like that for hundreds of years, always being watched, never being safe enough to just rest. And this is where epigenetics comes in. Now, epigenetics is like little notes written on your body's blueprint, your DNA, okay? And when trauma, fear, and stress happen over and over again, your body writes a note that says, we don't have time to rest. Keep going and stay alert, okay? Another way to look at epigenetics is to imagine your body as a big library, okay? Every book in it is filled with stories from your family, your mom, your grandma, your great-grandmother, and even further back. Now, some of the stories are joyful, love, strength, dancing, laughter, but some are heavy. Running to survive, working too hard, always having to be strong just to stay safe. Now, here's the thing. Those stories don't just stay in the past. They get passed down in those little invisible notes inside your body, okay? Epigenetics. It's like your cells are carrying tiny sticky notes that continue to say, again, stay alert, don't stop moving, and rest isn't safe, and that you have to take care of everyone. So even if you're not in danger anymore, your body remembers the danger your ancestors lived through, okay? It gets passed down like a family recipe, but instead of food, it's feelings and fears. So when you try to lie down and rest, your body might feel tense or guilty, even if it's nothing wrong, if there's nothing wrong, okay? And it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because your body is still holding on to an old story that says you can't stop and you don't get to rest. So how do you activate and reprogram all of this coding from your ancestors? Well, you just have to practice, just like anything else. Practicing softness and safety is a daily routine, okay? You have to feel in your body. You have to not ignore that fear and that tugging, pulling when you're not being quote unquote productive enough. You have to speak to that fear and tell it that you are safe, okay? Trust me, I've been off of a traditional job of nursing for 10 months and I still sometimes have to remind myself that it's my divine birthright as a woman to rest, okay? And if you needed further help with this, I invite you into the Empress Temple. The Empress Temple is my online sanctuary for Black and brown women who want to activate their divine feminine essence and spirit. And I want to invite you to download my free masterclass called the Empress Method. Now, the Empress Method is a framework to help you gently rewire your nervous system into feminine softness and safety. It's filled with ritual transmissions and practices that are rooted in neuroscience, science, sacred, intuitive psychology, and feminine energetics, okay? I'm going to put the link down below, and I encourage you to start there. Share this with someone, a woman, a Black or brown woman, who is learning how to rest. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.